What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com, here with a name you know. We cover pro wrestling, MMA, boxing. You know him from a few of those. You're going to see him defending the WWE Championship this Sunday at Peacock, at Hell in a Cell against Drew McIntyre. We got Bobby Lashley. Bobby, how you doing?
Fantastic, man.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We're talking a little bit off the air about a mutual friend that we had, about some of the things you did while you were gone from WWE. Now you're embroiled in a feud with a guy who spent some time outside of WWE as well, and Drew McIntyre. Do you see maybe a bit of yourself in him and maybe in the paths that you all took to get back? Or do you think those are maybe completely separate, their own journeys?
I think our journeys are a little different, but I do feel kind of the same with him. Me and Drew, before we were feuding last year, we were tagging together. And every time we would tag together, we would have this like different kind of energy out there. We were going against the Shield and we were going against a bunch of different tag teams. And the energy level was really high because we kind of felt the same. We both left when we left the business before, and coming back, you can just see the amount of hunger that we had coming back. We changed. We got in better shape. We worked our ass off to get back. So when we got back, we still have that hunger of greatness in this business. We didn't just come back just to be another guy. So that's why this match this weekend is so special. Is because it's that match of putting yourself in Hell in a Cell and seeing who's willing to do whatever it takes for that title.
When you go into a match like Hell in a Cell, whether it be the first time or whatever, are you asking other people who have maybe been in that, whether like maybe a cage match, maybe it's been a Royal Rumble match, a match that is different than the standard in which you'll experience? Are you asking people about maybe their prior experiences, maybe any advice about, what's this structure like?
Hey, man, no, because I don't want to know. It's one of those things where it's going to be painful. Monday, I know when I come back Monday, I know my body's going to be in shambles because I know that it's going to be that rough. I mean, I'm a student of the game, so I watch a lot of film and I watch some of the matches before I watch some of the things that people are doing before I watch some of the tricks, because you might need to pull out tricks in any fight. So I'm trying to strategize the best that I can so that I come out this thing victorious. But I know at the end of the day, it's going to be very painful. And it's at the end of the day, the Hell in a Cell, people want to have those moments. So those moments are the moments that probably hurt you and beat your body up big time, but it does prove your want and prove your will. So I don't want to know how bad it is. I'm just going to grit my teeth and take it.
This is your first one, right? I mean, fighting in a cage is no new thing for you, but this is different. Right. I mean, ring inside a cage, a little, obviously plenty different there.
Yeah, but more tools. I think it's going to be crazy. I mean, Drew and I have a crazy match without Hell in a Cell and just a ring by itself. So now we have the ability to no DQ and then weapons and then Hell in a Cell. I mean, it's going to be insane. But it's one of those things that I want, in my career. You want to have those big matches. I have my Mania match, my Summerslam match is coming up. All these different events that kind of like signify and some of those big glory points that you have throughout your career. This is definitely going to be one of them, is being in that cell. So something crazy is going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know who's it's going to be on, but there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be people that are getting carried out of that cell. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're going to see a lot of people that are very hungry for greatness in this business.
So within Raw, you have mentioned you want to be done with Drew McIntyre. You want to move on. We got Summerslam coming up. I'm going to be there. It's a Allegiant Stadium. Tickets are on sale Friday, June 18th. So assuming, and I know it's easy to assume before you go into a Hell in a Cell match what'll happen, but assuming you get past Drew McIntyre, who do you look at on the Raw roster and you're like, man, I want to mix it up with them? That should be who gets the next shot. That's who I should face in this football stadium at SummerSlam. Because I know the easy answer is like, well, Brock, because that's what everybody says.
Oh man, everybody does say that, but I really don't know. There's so many guys that are at the top right now. Mm-hmm. I did an interview a little while ago, and someone said Damian Priest, and that at the beginning was not the first person that I thought about. But you have to take him into consideration. You have to take Randy into consideration. You have to take Riddle into consideration. You have to take Morrison into consideration. You have to take Elias. You have to take Riker. You have to take the Fiend somewhere around there. Randy Orton. There's so many different guys. Keith Lee. I don't know where some of these guys are at right now, but there's a lot of guys that are really making some big moves. And I think the next few weeks really dictate who wants to step up. I mean, you have Money in the Bank, but you have a lot of guys that are right there because ultimately everyone's talking about, okay, why does Drew keep getting the opportunity? Drew keeps getting the opportunity because nobody keeps beating him. He's number 2. Unless somebody else beat number 2, then number 2 is the one that gets the opportunity. So I think we're at a case right now where who's going to be able to step up and beat number 2. And there's a lot of guys that are really close in their career to being able to do it and have a little bit of momentum going, but we don't know. I don't know if somebody's going to come in. I don't know if somebody wants to come from outside in and come get some of this and get beat up and sent back. I don't know, man. But I'm anxious to find out.
I'm always so fascinated about your transition in and out and back into pro wrestling, MMA, and all that stuff. When I had talked to Riddle in the past, I would always ask him, like, okay, people knowing your reputation and knowing your skill set, would they ever test you? And he said, yes, Drew Gulak did a lot. Like you'd get in the ring and somebody be like, how good can they really go? Does that happen to you? Has that happened to you? And with who?
In the ring? No. I think there's a lot of times I think there's a lot of times where people like subtly test you and you kind of think, are you, and then it's gone. So you don't like, they don't really set it in to the point where it's like, okay, I'll let this go. But I did have an opportunity to go roll around with Riddle and one of the other guys at one point in time. These guys have skills, man. It's cool. But I don't think anybody's really at the point of really testing me to the point where I'm firing back 100%. No.
Has Vince McMahon ever shot a double leg on you?
No.
We would always hear those stories about him trying it like with Kurt Angle or with anybody, just because he is, I mean, you look at him now and the dude is still jacked.
He tries to get a clinch. He'll try to work a clinch and get a quick one. He's good at pummeling. He knows how to get in there.
So when you spent time away from WWE, did you maintain a relationship with Vince McMahon? Did you speak with him at all during that period? Or was it kind of like out of sight, out of mind because you were heavily into MMA at that period?
I was heavily into it, but there was times where Vince would reach out to me, send a text here or there. It was always like we've always had that common bond of the mentality of working out. And there's times where he came down to Denver and he's like, man, I'm coming down to Denver. We got to get a workout in. We never really did, but it's always kind of one of those, that running joke or that possibility. But we've talked about it a few times, but it wasn't one of those things where we talked consistently. I'd say over the time, maybe a few text messages, maybe over the 10 years or 11 years that I was gone.
And I remember, I think it was a couple years ago, you did an interview and somebody said, hey, you think you'll ever go back to MMA? And you're like, well, maybe when my WWE time is up. I mean, it's been 3 years since you've been back. You're WWE champion now. Do you see yourself possibly getting into that again? Or do you think that the book is closed or is it still open for you?
Man, I'm at this thing where what is the only way. And when people say that, I live by it. So whether I like to fight again, I would fight again. I have that hunger. I mean, my boxing coach has hit me up this morning, so we'll be boxing here in a little bit. And I did some strength and conditioning, so I'm in great shape. It was like one of those things where you don't have to fight, but it's like I still have that competitive edge, that competitive just will that I've had my entire life. I think one thing that I will be doing, I will compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Okay.
Going forward. That's not as stressful on the body. And I've always wanted to do a bare knuckles fight. I talked to the bare knuckles owner, and we've talked a few times about possibly doing a fight, and I maybe have to bring that by Vince before doing it. But I stay ready so I can possibly do one of them. I think if I do MMA, it'll definitely have to be under the Bellator because I'm still contracted by Bellator. Bare knuckles, I don't know if I'd be able to do it based on my Bellator contract, but we have talked about it. And jiu-jitsu, I'll definitely do, even while wrestling.
So we had mentioned Riddle and a lot of those people that have that background. Does this help satisfy those competitive urges a little bit? Because, I mean, you look all the way up and down that roster. I mean, there's UFC veterans, Strikeforce veterans, people who have competed in MMA, like all over the place in WWE. I mean, amateur wrestler, you got Chad Gable, people like that. Does this help satisfy some of those urges that you once felt, or maybe that you do still feel?
Yeah, because you need it. Oh, I mean, you need it. If you came from a wrestling background, you can't just stop cold turkey.
Yeah.
If you boxed forever, you can't just stop cold turkey. And I boxed for a long time, so I still teach boxing. I still do mitts. I mean, because you'll see a boxer that's been away from the ring for a little while. He'll just be standing doing something in the middle of a grocery store. So you gotta feed those urges. MVP is a world champion in jiu-jitsu. So he has a little boo-boo right now that he's kind of cleaning up. But once he's done, he and I will be rolling a little bit more. We'll bring our gis in, rolling. So I'll still get that in there. Riddle has a gi. He rolls. Lazar. There's a couple guys that still go out there and train. So I get it. I get the fix a little bit, but still, fighting's fighting, because fighting's a whole different element. It's signing that contract. It's having those nerves. It's walking in that cage. It's that door closing behind you. It's feeling that mat on your feet. It's hitting somebody for the first time. It's taking a hit for the first time. It's a lot of things that you don't normally get from anything else.
I would do commentary on a lot of amateur fights, and the amount of times I would see somebody in their first fight, and then the ring announcer screams their name, and you see it on their face. They're like, "Oh no, this is happening."
This is real.
And that's why so many amateur fights either go the full distance or like 12 seconds, because either people are really prepared or they're not at all. You mentioned MVP. Hurt Business split up. How did you feel about that, considering, I mean, you guys are one of the hottest acts of the Thunderdome era? I mean, it seemed like it helped everybody involved.
Yeah, man. I think that it should be one of those times you just never say never, because that was a hell of a group. I mean, I think it did great numbers, viewing numbers. I think it was a great synergy between the group and we enjoyed it. But I think it's one of those things where it's something that we can always come back to it. In the business, there's always different things that happen. Cedric and Sheldon were kind of going after each other for a while. They had to settle their differences. They got to see if they can swim on their own for a little bit. And I think that there's a possibility of coming back together. We never know what's going to happen. But I love those guys to death. I mean, it was a great time for me. And I like what we did with the business. If you go around the business now, you'll see a lot more suits. You see guys cleaning themselves up. That was a Hurt Business. We were part of that. So we kept a high style, and we kept a lot of class, and we beat people up. And that's what the business.
I think it always says a lot when your merch is getting parodied outside of like WWE. Like you see the Hurt Business style shirts with other people, other stuff. And I mean, that was such a cool thing. You saw like that metallic gold thing, and it became hot. But we're going to see how that cage experience outside of WWE translates to Hell in a Cell this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. And a reminder, guys, Summerslam tickets go on sale June 18th. That's Friday. It's going to be a massive show at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Bobby Lashley, thank you so much. I could talk to you about MMA and pro wrestling all day.
It'd be fun, man. Anytime.
Until next time, guys, we're out.